Here is a truth most people will choke on before they swallow it. The person who fights back first almost always loses. Not because they lack strength, not because they lack courage, but because the moment you engage an enemy on their terms, you have already surrendered the only advantage that actually matters: control. You have handed them the battlefield. Let them choose the weapons. Entered a game where even winning costs you something you can never recover. The truly dangerous person is not the one who throws the first punch. It is the one who makes the punch unnecessary. The one who wins before the conflict begins. The one whose composure and strategy and self-command make the enemy defeat themselves while believing they are still fighting. That person does not need violence, does not need revenge, does not need the satisfaction of being right in front of witnesses. That person has something far more devastating: patience, clarity, and absolute sovereignty over themselves. The ancient Stoics understood this at a depth that modern psychology is only beginning to reach. Marcus Aurelius commanded the largest army on earth. His greatest victories never involved the battlefield. Seneca navigated the most lethal political arena in history and survived for decades using nothing but his mind. Epictetus was a slave who became more powerful than the men who owned him, without ever raising a hand. Today we are going into 7 Stoic strategies for defeating your enemies without fighting. Not 7 theories, 7 weapons. Weapons of the mind that leave no mark the world can see and no opening the enemy can exploit. If this channel is sharpening your mind, subscribe right now. It is free and it helps more than you know. Stay until the very end, because the 7th strategy is the one that contains all the others. Let us begin. Law number 1. Stay silent when they expect a reaction. Epictetus said circumstances do not make the man. They only reveal him to himself. The first and most powerful weapon against any adversary is your silence. Because every enemy operates on one fundamental assumption: that they can provoke you, that your anger or defensiveness or need to be right will drag you into an arena they have already prepared. Your silence breaks that assumption like a hammer through glass. It confuses them, denies them the satisfaction of impact, forces them to wonder whether they have any power over you at all. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." When someone attacks you and you respond with absolute stillness, the effect is seismic. Not because silence is loud, but because in a world where everyone reacts instantly, the person who does not becomes impossible to predict. And unpredictability is the greatest tactical advantage in any conflict. Think about it. They rehearsed this confrontation. They imagined your anger, your defense, your counterattack. They scripted the entire exchange. And then you gave them nothing. No fuel, no drama, no entry point. They are left standing in the arena alone, swinging at air, looking foolish to every witness present. Your silence did not just deny them victory, it made them the spectacle. But what happens next is what separates this from mere avoidance. Your silence creates a vacuum, and vacuums have a strange property. They force the other person to fill them with more words, more aggression, more exposure. Every sentence they add while you remain still is another thread they pull from their own credibility. And that brings us directly to the second law, but not the way you expect. Because the second law isn't about what you do. It's about what you let time do for you. Law number 2. Let them reveal their character while you protect yours. Seneca wrote, "Anger is an acid that can do more harm to the vessel in which it is stored than to anything on which it is poured." Every enemy will eventually expose who they truly are if you give them enough room and enough time. The person who slanders you will slander others. The person who betrays you will betray again. You do not need to pull back the curtain. Time will do it. Your only job is to ensure that when their character is finally visible to everyone, yours is still intact. Marcus Aurelius dealt with treachery every single year of his reign. Advisors who plotted in the shadows. Allies who switched sides when the wind changed. And his response was always the same: protect the integrity of my own actions. Let history sort the rest. He understood a law of human nature that most people learn too late. In any long game, character always wins. Deception may score a quick victory, but deception has an expiration date. And when it expires, the only thing still standing is the truth of who each person chose to be. This is what makes this strategy so devastating. You do not need to expose anyone. You do not need to build a case or gather allies or orchestrate a revelation. You simply keep being exactly who you claim to be, consistently, publicly, relentlessly. And the contrast between your behavior and theirs becomes a light so bright that everyone around you starts to see what you have seen all along. The mask slips not because you pulled it, but because masks are heavy, and liars get tired. Here is the practice. The next time someone attacks your character, do nothing in response except double down on demonstrating who you actually are. Let your behavior be your defense. Let your consistency be your attorney. The courtroom of public perception has no jury more reliable than time, and time always reaches the same verdict. Now here is where most people stop. They think silence and patience are enough. They are not. There is an active component that most people overlook entirely, and it turns defense into something far more powerful, something irreversible. Law number 3. Become so excellent they become irrelevant. This might be the most satisfying form of victory that exists, because it requires nothing from the enemy. No confrontation, no revenge, no acknowledgement that they ever mattered. You simply rise so far above the conflict that the person who tried to drag you down now has to look up to find you. And by the time they do, you have moved beyond their reach entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The man who spends his energy arguing with enemies is standing still. The man who channels that identical energy into becoming undeniable is moving at a speed no adversary can match. Your excellence is not just personal success. It is the loudest response you will ever give, and it echoes long after every comeback has been forgotten. Consider this carefully. Every hour you spend thinking about your enemy is an hour stolen from building the version of yourself that makes them irrelevant. Every ounce of emotional energy you pour into the conflict is an ounce that could have fueled your growth. The math is brutal and it is exact. Your attention is a finite resource, and your enemy knows perhaps instinctively that if they can keep consuming it, they never have to actually defeat you. You will defeat yourself through distraction alone. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And every moment wasted on an adversary who is not building while you are standing still is a moment that compounds against you, because growth is exponential. The gap between the person who spends 1 year building and the person who spends 1 year feuding is not 1 year of difference. It is a lifetime, because the builder's year generates momentum, and momentum generates years." So here's the practice. Every time you catch yourself rehearsing an argument with someone who wronged you, stop and ask a single question. What would I build with this energy instead? Then build it. That is how you make enemies irrelevant. Not by fighting them out of your life, but by building them out of it. Drop this in the comments if you understand. I reveal nothing. I build everything. But here is the question that should be burning in your mind right now. What happens when the enemy isn't out there? When the enemy is wearing your face? When the person who sabotages you most consistently is the one who stares back from the mirror every morning? The next law goes somewhere most people are afraid to look. Law number 4. Defeat the enemy within, and no external enemy can survive. This is the law that swallows every strategy that came before it, and it is the law most people spend their entire lives avoiding. Because the greatest enemy you will ever face is not the colleague who undermines you, not the partner who betrayed you, not the stranger who disrespected you in public. It is the part of you that reacts before it thinks, that craves revenge instead of growth, that would rather win an argument than win at life, that cares more about being right than about becoming someone worth being. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Look back over the past with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too." He watched the most powerful men in history destroy themselves from the inside, while their external enemies looked on in amazement. Rome's greatest threats were never the barbarians at the gates. They were the emperors who could not govern their own appetites, their own rage, their own fear. The empire rotted from within. It always does. Families rot from within. Careers rot from within. People rot from within. And they rot in the one place that no external fortress can protect: the mind that refuses to govern itself. Epictetus was a slave whose master broke his leg. He responded with a calm so absolute that it became the foundation of an entire school of philosophy. That calm was not about the master. It was about Epictetus. He had already won the only battle that mattered, the one within. And once that battle is won, no external adversary can harm you, because harm requires access, and a mastered self grants access to no one. Plato wrote, "The first and best victory is to conquer self. To be conquered by self is of all things the most shameful." Here is what that means for you right now. Every emotion your enemy triggers in you is a door they can walk through. Anger is a door. Resentment is a door. The desire for revenge is a door. Self-pity is a door. And mastery is the act of closing every single one of those doors. Not by becoming numb, but by becoming so disciplined in your inner world that nothing outside of it has a key. Here is the practice. For 1 week, track every time you react instead of respond. Every flash of anger, every defensive reflex, every moment where emotion made the decision before reason arrived. Write them down, not to judge yourself, to map the doors, because you cannot close what you cannot see, and the enemy within operates best in the dark. Drag it into the light, and it loses half its power before the fight even begins. If you have made it this far, you are demonstrating exactly the quality these strategies demand. The patience to stay present through discomfort, to keep listening when others would have clicked away 10 minutes ago. That is not a small thing. Hit like if these words are reaching you. Share this with someone who is fighting an enemy they do not know how to handle. The final 3 laws are where this shifts from defense to something far more powerful. Stay with me. Law number 5. Refuse to be defined by the conflict and refuse to let them rent space in your identity. This is where most people fail and do not even know it. They let the conflict become their identity. They become the person who was wronged, the person who was betrayed, the person fighting a war, and that identity gives the enemy a permanent seat at the table of their mind. Free rent, forever. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Choose not to be harmed, and you will not feel harmed. Do not feel harmed, and you have not been." This is not denial. This is sovereignty. It is the decision that no external conflict, no matter how painful, will be allowed to define who you are. You are not what happened to you. You are what you chose to do about it. And if what you choose is to grow, to rise, to become something the conflict could never have imagined, then the enemy has not harmed you. They have accidentally forged you. Here is the test. Can you describe yourself in 10 sentences without mentioning the person who hurt you, without referencing the conflict, without building your identity around what was done to you? If you cannot, then the enemy still owns territory inside your mind. And every strategy in the world is meaningless if the real battle, the one happening between your ears, has already been lost. Carl Jung wrote, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." Let your becoming be so consuming that there is simply no room left for the conflict. Not because you suppressed it, but because you outgrew it. The way a river outgrows the rock that once blocked its path. The rock is still there. The river simply found a way around it and kept moving, and the rock became smaller with every passing year. Seneca reinforced this when he wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those who you are capable of improving." The process is a mutual one. Your enemy does not improve you. Your obsession with your enemy does not improve you. The only thing that improves you is the deliberate choice to become more than the wound. To build an identity so rich, so layered, so deeply rooted in your own values that no single event and no single person can define it. That is not just strategy. That is freedom. Here is the practice. Write a description of who you are becoming, not who you were, not what was done to you, who you are building yourself into. Read it every morning. And when the conflict tries to hijack your narrative, when the old story starts playing in your head like a broken record, look at that description and say, "This is who I am. Not what happened to me. This." But knowing who you are is not enough if you don't understand the strategic role of patience. And the next law reveals why patience is not passive. It is the most aggressive weapon in your arsenal. Law number 6. Practice strategic patience. Release the weight. Keep the map. Two ideas live here that most people believe are contradictions. They are not. They are the two halves of the most sophisticated weapon in any strategist's arsenal. First, patience. Seneca wrote, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay, and what works for anger works for enemies." Time is the great equalizer. The adversary who looks invincible today will be weakened by their own decisions tomorrow. The lie that seems watertight now will spring leaks next month. The alliance they built against you will fracture under its own weight. Because alliances built on mutual hatred never survive the absence of the common target. Marcus Aurelius watched civilizations rise and crumble in a single generation. He understood that the universe trends toward equilibrium, not on your schedule, but inevitably. The patient person allows that natural correction to do the heavy lifting. The impatient person tries to force an outcome and usually creates a bigger mess than the one they started with. Your job is not to accelerate justice. Your job is to keep building while justice arrives on its own clock. Every day you spend improving yourself while your enemy spends obsessing over you is a day you grow stronger and they grow weaker. That asymmetry compounds. Time is the one weapon no enemy can defend against, because every person who operates from malice is burning on a fuse they cannot see. Second, forgiveness, but not the kind most people imagine. This is not about nobility. This is about efficiency. Resentment is a poison you drink hoping the other person gets sick. It drains your focus, corrupts your energy, occupies your peace, while doing absolutely nothing to the person it targets. Forgiveness is the antidote, not a gift to them, a liberation for you. But forgetting is a different calculation entirely. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, today I will meet interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty." He did not say, "Today I will be surprised by bad behavior." He said, "Today I am prepared for it." He remembered what people were capable of, not out of bitterness, out of operational awareness. Forgive the person, release the weight of it, free yourself from the cost, but catalog the lesson. Remember the pattern. Remember who showed you exactly who they are. Not to seek revenge, to ensure the same hand never reaches you twice. That is the combination most people never master. They either carry the resentment forever and it eats them alive, or they forgive and forget and get burned by the same flame twice. The strategist does neither. The strategist releases the weight and keeps the map. Here is the practice. For each person who has wronged you, create 2 columns in your mind. Column 1 is emotional. Let it go. Column 2 is strategic. What did this teach me about human behavior? What pattern did this reveal? What will I watch for next time? The first column sets you free. The second keeps you safe. Both are necessary. Neither is sufficient alone. And now, the final law, the one that makes every strategy you have heard today unnecessary. Because once you truly understand it, you will not need to defeat anyone. They will not be able to reach you. Law number 7. Make yourself so valuable that attacking you becomes self-destructive. The ultimate defense against any adversary is to become someone who cannot be removed from the board without the entire game collapsing. Not through intimidation, through value, through contributions so deep and so irreplaceable that any rational person who considers moving against you is forced to confront a simple calculation. Destroying you costs more than tolerating you, and in that equation you are safe. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by political enemies for the entirety of his reign. Senators who despised his philosophy, generals who craved his power, advisors who plotted in corridors he never walked. And what shielded him more effectively than any legion was a reality the entire empire recognized. They needed him. His competence during impossible circumstances. His fairness when tyranny would have been easier. His ability to hold a crumbling empire together while plague and war and betrayal hammered every wall. That made him essential. And every conspirator who considered moving against him had to face the same truth. Their own survival depended on his leadership. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties show a person's character. As fire tests gold, so adversity tests a strong man." And Marcus's adversity did not merely test him. It forged him into something no enemy could afford to destroy. That is the ultimate strategic position, not invulnerability, indispensability. Here is how this works in practice. Stop thinking about how to defeat your enemy. Start thinking about how to become so necessary, so deeply woven into the fabric of every system you inhabit, that removing you would leave a crater no one can fill. Build yourself into the person whose absence would be a catastrophe, not from ego, from strategy. The person who tries to destroy someone indispensable does not look like a victor. They look like a saboteur, and the world treats them accordingly. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." And the freest form of mastery is to become so valuable that freedom is no longer something you need to fight for. It is something others fight to preserve for you. That is not power over others. It is power through service, through excellence, through becoming the person everyone needs and no one can replace. Let me leave you with this image. A mountain does not fight the storm, does not negotiate with the lightning, does not flinch at the thunder. It simply stands. And when the sky clears, and the sky always clears, the mountain is still there. Every crack the storm made only reveals deeper stone, harder stone, stone that was hidden beneath the surface waiting for the storm to uncover it. That is what these 7 laws build inside you. Not a wall that keeps the world out. A foundation so deep that nothing the world throws at you can reach the bottom. You do not need to fight your enemies. You need to outgrow them. You need to become so focused, so disciplined, so locked into your own purpose that their attacks register like rain on granite. Brief, loud, and ultimately meaningless. Marcus Aurelius spent his final years governing through pain that would have broken any other man alive. His body failing, his empire fracturing, his enemies circling, and he wrote these words, not in victory, in the middle of the fight, with no guarantee of the outcome. He wrote, "Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them." That is what a man looks like who has defeated every enemy without raising a fist. He doesn't look at his enemies at all. He looks at the stars. Seneca wrote, "As is a tale, so is life. Not how long it is, but how good it is what matters." Your time is too short and too precious to spend in conflict with people who are fighting battles they have already lost inside themselves. Rise above, build forward, and let your life be the only weapon you ever need. If this video sharpens something inside you, share it with someone who is at war with an enemy they do not know how to handle. Like this video, subscribe if you have not already, and watch the video appearing on screen right now to keep building the Stoic mind that no adversary can touch. Thank you for being part of Stoic Citadel. Stay strategic, stay composed, and remember that the person who masters themselves has already defeated every enemy they will ever face.